Hello, this is Strategy Miscellany here with episode 5 of our Children of a Dead Earth campaign. The next step here is the defense of Vesta. Vesta Overkill. Essentially, we control Vesta. The USTA has been sending a force in. They sent one from Saturn. They have a powerful fleet with a admiral who is known for her unrelentingly aggressive tactics, and that's what the AI is set for in this. It's going to just throw everything it has at us. And they have a fleet carrier, has a bunch of drones. The Hellfire drones are very dangerous. They have 4 little guns on them, so they can put a ton of fire downrange. And as you can see, the carrier also has a lot of coil guns and rail guns on it too. They have a silo ship. The silo ship has never really worked quite as well as the designer probably wanted it to. It always seems a little unreliable in space combat, although there may be a reason for that we find out later. But here's the silo ship. It's got a lot of nuclear missiles on it, a few railguns, and then they've got a couple of kind of smaller ships, kind of auxiliary ships in the fleet. We've got the Corvette here with coil guns and rail guns, and we've got the cutter here with lasers and conventional cannons. And actually the cutter is interesting because it actually can fire 3 lasers at once. A lot of the base game ships really can't do that. They only have 1 laser that they can shoot at once. This one is more like one that I might design that can actually shoot 3 lasers at once if it has enough facing the enemy, which, based on how its laser mounts work, you can see it has kind of 4 down each side. It usually can. So, the good news is we can customize our fleet. We don't have to go with the baseline stuff that they give us. So, I spent a lot of time. This is the baseline they give you, by the way. They give you a support carrier, a missile schooner, a corvette, orbital defense craft. It may be possible to beat it with this. I've never achieved that myself. So I tried this mission several times and lost several times, either because the drone swarms coming at me took me down, or I just didn't have sufficient capacity to defeat their capital ship fleet after taking down their drone and missile swarms. And I eventually came up with my own ship design for this here. All based on stock parts, of course, because we're not allowed to do non-stock parts yet. The Small Railgunner Mark III is what I've got currently. Here, I'll open up the design. So you can see it's got nuclear thermal rockets running on decane here, which is like a slightly lighter hydrocarbon than kerosene, basically. So gives good acceleration, slightly less good specific impulse than something like methane. And then it's got some decane tanks, enough to give it a delta V of almost 3 kilometers per second. So not very much, but better than some of the baseline ships that don't have very much delta V. And the important thing here, though, is that we have 3 auto-fire railguns, all of which can fire directly forwards if they need to. This ship is intended to fly head-on, nose first, and not broadside. And the advantage there is that it gives it kind of a thin target profile. You see, if this is face-on, it's a pretty hard target to hit. I mean, the radiators are a bigger target, but they're also edge-on, so they're not that easy to hit either. Then for close-in work, we have 3 conventional cannons also, just to put more stuff down for dealing with laser and drone swarms. And we've got 3 reactors here, which can almost power all 3 railguns at once. If I look at these railguns here, let's see, this is all grayed out, but I think it tells me consumption. Okay, so I think what it is that when the capacitors are firing, it's not reloading. And when the capacitors are charging, it's not reloading. and when it's reloading, the capacitors aren't charging, so it's only using 13 megawatts at a time, plus 500 kilowatts for the turret motors. So each of our reactors puts out 13.5 megawatts. Now we have to use a little bit to power the conventional guns and the crew module. So really we're firing maybe 2.9 railguns at once, I'd say. But that's pretty good. These railguns have a good range. Looking at one of them here again. For capital ships, they can target it well within 39 kilometers. Now, you can always just turn off the range restriction too and start firing from farther out, and you'll get some lucky shots in, especially since this thing fires a new shot every 69 milliseconds. So it's firing something like 16 shots a second. So, one of the better baseline modules. And then for the armor here, I have a little band of copper on here entirely for aesthetic purposes. I just think it looks good. Then we've got our Whipple shield of aluminum. And then we've got 4 centimeters of silica aerogel and a little gap. That's basically to absorb the plasma blast from the Whipple shield and do anti-laser work. Then we have reinforced carbon-carbon. This is good against heat and against impacts. And then we have a front cap, only on the front half of the ship, of 1 centimeter of vanadium chromium steel, which is expensive, heavy, but it's really good. It's got the best yield strength, tensile strength combination in the game, so it's a very good anti-impact kind of final layer. But because the ship is flying nose on, I've only armored the front half of the ship to save on weight with that. So, going back to our fleet setup, the good news with these ships is they're fairly small, and so you can put a whole bunch of them together in your fleet and still stay under 13 kilotons, 370 million credits. Yeah, see, I can put 7 of them together here. And so I will begin the mission and show you how this works. Alright, so that was a close battle, but I actually ended up losing, and I think I know why. When in my tests I had beat this fairly easily. So I think what I need to do is remove one of the small railgunners. Earlier, before I'd made some changes, I had enough weight to do this without removing one. And then what I want to do is add a laser skiff. And if possible, even something else. Let's see. Not quite. So, yeah, the laser skiff will automatically let us basically start firing at a longer range, which will help with not taking losses to the drones. And it also provides laser targeting that can hit their weapons directly. So I didn't really think a laser skiff was an important part of this, but I was incorrect before. Let's try this again.
Incoming transmission.
So you can see they immediately start launching waves at us here. And the good news is mostly we can just kind of sit here and tank them with our fleet design. So let me demonstrate that here. Here they have these basic Stinger drones. I'm going to target their cannons. I'm going to have all ships orient nose forwards, except the laser skiff is going to orient broadside, because it's not one of my designs. And so it works better broadsiding, I believe. Although it should also be able to work nose forward, but the nose is not sloped armor and the crew module is right in the front, so it's not the best idea to have it go nose forwards. And I'm going to ignore the range restrictions on our lasers and on our railguns. I'll hold off on the cannons just to keep the frame rate up. And you can see they're getting close to getting in range. They were able to fire a couple shots off, but that's about it. Not very much. And here they have another fleet of drones. You can see they're just fleeing everything they have at us. Missiles, drones, the capital fleet. The AI is set to very aggressive in this one. So, target their cannons. Everybody ready? Let's go. Alright. And next should be, I think, a missile fleet and then the capital fleet. Well, they might be trying to... Oh, actually, we're going to hit the capital fleet first. Alright. So this is the real test up against the capital fleet. You gotta target all their systems here. Fleet carrier is my priority one because number one, it constantly launches drones. Number two, it's got a ton of cannons on it. Number three, it's a big target, so it's easier to hit from far away. Silo ship, target some stuff on it. Or corvette, target its guns. These sniper coil guns are dangerous at range for sure. And the cutter, what I like to do is target the cannons here. Because if you blow up one of these, it seems to often disable the ship, and they have, you know, explosive launchers, so, or like a conventional cannon, so the ammo can blow up and damage the ship. And this stock design, this is a good stock design, but it doesn't seem to have thought of that particular problem. Now, we might be lucky here. It looks like the silo ship is launching nuclear missiles, and sometimes when they do this, it causes it to blow up. It's a bug. So, we'll see what happens. I'll go back to my ships here. Yeah, the enemy just destroyed its own silo ship with nuclear missiles. That happens sometimes. It's a glitch. It's kind of a luck thing whether it'll happen or not. I think I could probably have won without that, but this will make it a little easier. So, you can see they're plinking us with lasers. We're plinking them. We're shooting railguns at them, they're shooting railguns at us. But our sheer kind of weight of fire is going to be more than theirs. Yeah, look, we just took out the cutter. Now all they've got is the corvette and the fleet carrier. And these drones, which I do need to make sure we're targeting their cannons, because if they get enough drones in the air, they could cause problems for us. And pretty soon, I don't like to do it because of the frame rate, but pretty soon I'm going to let the cannons start firing too. Once they get under about 50 clicks out. Alright, they're under about 50 clicks out. I'm going to select all ships and allow them to fire their cannons also. You can see we're taking out their scatter railguns, their sniper coil guns. We're losing some of our conventional cannons. Thankfully, I designed the ship well enough that one of those getting shot off the ship doesn't destroy it. And as you can see, the frame rate's having a little trouble. It happens, unfortunately, especially in these larger fleet actions. And let me just pause for a second here and take stock of what's going on. Okay, so here's us. Here's them. I don't think I've actually lost any ships yet this time, although they've definitely been damaged. They've got their fleet carrier. You can see it's getting its weapons disabled bit by bit. But unfortunately, a lot of these shots are taking out stuff I don't really care about, like refuelers for it. It's got the corvette, which it doesn't look like it's suffered really any damage. And then we've got these drones coming in. I'm going to make the Hellfire drones a priority target. They just have so many cannons on them. Having 10 out there is kind of dangerous. So, I'll go back to one of our ships. Watch this some more. As we close with each other here. And really, a lot of this is kind of waiting for a lucky shot like we had on the cutter. And you can see we took out the fleet carrier. We got that lucky shot. And now they won't launch any more drones. All they've got left is their corvette. Which has now been disarmed. We should have victory against this fleet any second now. All they've got left is like one drone. And we've defeated the fleet without taking any losses. Adding that laser skiff really matters. I think it extends the engagement range a little bit too, is the other thing it does. Alright, so now there's just some missiles flying around. We basically just have to mop up by either letting them fly out of the system or shooting them down. So, let's shoot down this missile fleet. The good news is, they're small, so they're a little hard to hit, but they have to get in real close before they can do anything. So, it's usually pretty easy to stop them before they do anything. Alright, that's that fleet dealt with. Here's another one. I know the graphics aren't great in this, but the tracers can look really good sometimes. Very dramatic. Alright, and then we got this last missile fleet, which for some reason has forgotten how to target us, so let's go over and deal with them for us. Not enough Delta V, what you talking about? Whoa. Alright, so what I'm going to do is switch my orbit around so I can meet these missiles here. There we go. It will slow down this one a little bit, just how long it takes to meet them. But they should be pretty easy to plink out of the sky. These are the larger nuclear missiles, so they're bigger targets to hit. And they're not moving very fast relative to us, so it'll take them a long time to accelerate up and get close to us. You see, they would have to fly for 7 minutes right now. They're not going to be allowed that much time. And there we go. Their invasion fleet is destroyed. The belt is safe. And we had all our capital ships alive. So, what I'm going to do is demonstrate how you can beat this with stock ships. I had a lot of trouble doing this at first. And I actually went on the Discord and asked people there how they did it. And got some good advice, did some thinking about it from what I would do, and came up with a sort of basic design for a fleet that should work for this. So first off, you need anti-drone defense. And a good thing for that is laser skiffs. And the good news is laser skiffs are pretty cheap and pretty small. So we'll put in 3 of those. And then the other thing we're going to do is, we want more sort of downrange fire. But we also want to be able to hit them with missiles and drones. If you do this with stock ships, I don't know if you can really do it by just kind of hitting their fleet with capital ship to capital ship battle. So I'm going to bring a missile schooner. And I'm going to bring an escort carrier. And then we've got a little bit of room left. And so I'm going to take some of these small gun skiffs just to sort of distract the enemy with more targets and also have more fire to put down range against both the incoming drones and the capital ship fleet when the battle with them comes.
Incoming transmission.
Start this off pretty similar to the before. So I tried that mission before, but I screwed up because I let the time advance too fast when it didn't seem like the enemy was doing anything. And they got a jump on me. And so I wasn't able to launch my wave of missiles and drones at the right time. And then the battle turned into basically a slideshow because I had to match them by opening up with all my conventional guns. This caused the game to freeze into a slideshow, and it looked like it was a slideshow I was slowly losing. So I have slightly redesigned the fleet. I added on my own cutter because it can actually fire 3 lasers at once, unlike the laser skiff which fires 1. And then I've got a missile schooner and escort carrier, reduced the laser skiff number to 1, and kept 2 gun skiffs. So, I will demonstrate now, hopefully, that the stock fleet can win this. So I played this through earlier. I thought I had a foolproof solution to beat these guys with stock ships only. It didn't appear to work when I just tried it now. So I'm going to give it one more try with slightly different ships here. And we'll see how it goes this time. So I've got 2 escort carriers, both for the number of railguns, and so I can put a big drone strike on the enemy. I've got a missile schooner for some missiles to back up those drones. I've got a gun skiff and a laser skiff for anti-drone firepower. Let's see how this
Incoming
goes.
transmission. Incoming transmission.
Okay, so I had something go wrong with my launch there. I'm going to do this a little bit differently this time. So one of the issues I had is one of my escort carriers had its drones damaged before they could get out. Or its launchers damaged before it could get out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch the drones with no order and have them just kind of hover around my fleet until the moment is right for them to do a separate strike. And now we let their incoming fire. It also might be a distraction for some of the stuff shooting at us, if they were wasting time trying to hit those little tiny drone targets. So, everyone who's not part of our reserve drone fleet is going to orient broadside.
Incoming transmission.
Alright, had to restart because I did something stupid, but I'll show this again.
Incoming transmission.
Okay, I made another deeply stupid mistake and forgot an important step in this here. I forgot to target the drone's cannons when they were flying at me, so they just came in and took me out. Alright, so I'm going to release the drones early from our fleet carriers here. I'm going to tell everybody who's not one of our drones to orient broadside. The drones have no order because I don't want them to do anything yet. I want them to hold off until we can do a strike at the enemy. And so then selecting all our weapons here, I'm going to ignore range on everything except for the little cannons on the drones. So now they start flying at us with everything they've got. Well, usually everything they've got anyway. Sometimes they're a little bit more careful about this. Not quite sure what causes that.
Incoming transmission.
Alright, so here come their Stinger drones. Target the cannons. Now we should take them out before they get to us. They might have the chance to get a few pot shots off, but it shouldn't be too significant this time. Yeah, there we go. We've got half of them down already, more than half. They're getting a few pot shots off. And you can see what I was talking about. They already took out one of our Stinger drone launchers just with the few drones they were able to get through with. That's why I launched mine early. Now here's another strike. And we're going to take these out. Hopefully pretty quickly. Although it looks like a lot of our weight of fire is in our conventional cannons and they're a little slower to get there. Once these hit, yeah, you hear those dings. Half of them gone, over half. And there we go. They got maybe a couple of plinking shots off, but that's it. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take our fleet and I'm going to have it dodge these missiles a little bit. Because the missiles caused trouble for me last time when I wasn't paying enough attention to them. So let's say that, yeah, we spend just a little bit. I want to save my Stinger drones most of their fuel. Spend a little bit here. Okay, this should hopefully kind of separate out our intercept times a little bit to make this easier. There's a flock of missiles. Time to open fire. There we go. And problem solved. Alright, one last flock of drones. Now comes the critical point. Now we select our missile schooner. And we send in, let's say, 60 of each kind of missile. Give it a minute or so they can realistically launch. So we're going to hit the capital fleet in 9 seconds. However, before that, or 9 minutes, excuse me. Before that happens, I'm going to take our drones here. And our missiles here. And I'm also going to set the drones to orient broadside, or not orient broadside, to do a homing burn with the missiles, so they all come in together. Now I have this little separate fleet, and this little separate fleet is going to make itself impact the enemy fleet before our main ships do. That's the plan. Okay, spent a little time fiddling with intercepts. Here we go. It says they evaded the intercept, but they don't appear to have done so. Okay, there they finally evaded the intercept. Sneaky fellows. Okay, looks like we're back on it. This is the frustrating thing with doing this stuff so close up here. You get a lot of misses and hits. Here we go. Alright. And I think their attempt to launch Devastator missile is going to cause their silo ship to malfunction. That seems to happen a lot. Good news is we've got a great crossing vector on them. In just a minute here, actually I think right now, I'm going to have the Stinger drones orient broadside and immediately start firing the cannons. That means I need to actually start targeting things on the enemy ships. Alright, there's that. Let's see how this goes. It's going to be a bit of a slideshow, I think. Yep, they blew up their own silo ship. That happens to them sometimes. And yep, it's definitely a slideshow. Unfortunately, our missiles don't have that much Delta V left from kind of the fancy footwork they do on the intercept. But they should hopefully have enough to do something here. Alright, somehow I had some kind of glitch, I think, in the... What happened there? Yeah, a lot of our nuclear missiles must have gotten there more quickly than I thought they would, and taken out most of the enemy. Apologies I didn't have a bright flash warning beforehand. I'll put it in the description. Not quite sure how they got there so fast, ahead of our main stack of flak missiles, but they basically have taken everybody out now. Potential bright flash again. And now here come our drones, which hopefully our drones will be enough to take out this guy with some of their parting shots. What do they have left? I think just their fleet carrier, which is their most powerful ship. But it's had some damage to it for sure. So if this doesn't work, we'll just close in with the main fleet. Take them out that way. You can see our drones are running themselves out of Delta V, trying to catch up with the carrier for another pass. Or actually, are they still approaching the carrier? Let me look. Hard to say. They seem to be. I think the moving away thing is about some of our missiles or something. Because our drones still look like they're closing in. Maybe not, though. Hard to say. Alright, so we're getting out of range. We did some good damage to their carrier, though. They don't have any drones to launch. Several of their radiators are destroyed. Several of their guns are destroyed. So now it's time for the main fleet to close. And it looks like it's going to do so automatically here. And now we just open fire. Their ship is still powerful, but I don't think by itself, with the damage it's had, it's powerful enough to stop us. Let's see, there's our cannon fire starting to come in. That should really do something severe. You can see it just spalling off the ship. And there we go. So now, what's left in system here? Basically one chunk of missiles is what I have to deal with. The other two should basically fly out system and no longer give me trouble in a second here. But let's pull around and go take out these missiles. Not enough Delta V, that's bizarre. Alright, well. Start this way. Oh, they were annoying and put their missiles back into regular orbits. Let's deal with those first. It is also frustrating that you have to deal with the missiles before it counts as a victory, even though they're just kind of floating around doing nothing useful for anybody involved. Claiming to evade intercepts, too. I'll probably skip through these.
Transmission.
Alright, so we mopped up those missiles, and you can see it is doable with a stock fleet, with some luck, the right choices, but it's not easy. That definitely took me a very long time to figure out the right stock fleet to do it with. So that's going to be it for this episode. The next one in the campaign is a strike against Neptune. The USTA has a methane depot that's in sort of a polar orbit around Neptune, very close in. And the concept is that we've made an alliance with the Iroquois Resurgence, who has some control of the inner moons, to do a long-range strike on the crew station. Basically, we only have 4 days to do it, and we have to fly in real close. Now, actually, for this one, the baseline ships they give you are pretty darn good for it. You got this privateer here. It's got a lot of Delta V. It's got sniper nuclear missiles that have their own lot of Delta V. And it comes with a hydrogen tanker that has even more Delta V. So you put that all together, and the baseline ships are really the best choice unless you design some very specialized ships for this. But I'm going to leave this one for next week, or next time. And also, before we get to the next episode of the regular campaign, I'm going to do sort of a ship design showcase of some of my dumber ideas for ships. Kind of a joke ship design concept. You know, for example, the Opulence class space yacht over here with its racing stripes. You see, a single one of those costs 280 million credits, weighs 17,000 tons. Now this is true travel in style with platinum, diamond, gold, silver, sapphire armor. Super classy. So things like that, basically, and then some military ships also that really are not very good ideas. We'll have some fun showing those off and demonstrating them. And then after that, we'll get back to the campaign. So, signing off for now. Thank you very much for watching. and have a great day.